Chair, for that call. Mr Chair, the only assertion that comes close to having an evidence base to it in Mr Seymour's speech just now is his statement that Santa does exist. And we've heard a lot about this free market. There are some things about the free market that Mr Seymour has not articulated that I'll come to. But perhaps I could reassure Mr Seymour this way, that although it's official Labor policy that Santa doesn't exist, there is a possibility that there may be fairies at the bottom of the garden. And I'm prepared to concede that point, Mr Speaker. But the thing about free markets is this. If you want to have a free market, there's a number of other conditions that have to apply, such as kind of symmetry of information, equality of power, and that includes financial power as well. And the reality is that in our housing market right now, there is not equality of bargaining power through equality of financial power. There's definitely not symmetry of information. There's asymmetry of information. And all the evidence that is available to Mr Seymour and everybody in this House and the rest of New Zealand is that our housing market is just dysfunctional. How is it that in a country of 4.5 million people, in a city of 1.5 million people, that we now have, and when the average income is, what, $55,000, $57,000, that we have an average house price of $1 million. That is not the mark of a functioning market. That is the mark of a dysfunctional market. And so interventions are required. Now, you could say the government has heroically embarked upon housing accords and special housing areas as a justified intervention in the market. Certainly the objectives were good. Certainly the intentions were good. But actually, when you look at the evidence and the practical effect of the special housing areas so far, they are not achieving what they were intended to achieve. Roughly a third of the special housing areas, only a third, have had houses built on them, which means 2/3 haven't. We know that special housing areas set aside for the building of houses, including affordable houses, simply has not happened in 2/3 of the special housing areas and the land available in those housing areas. The policy is not working. And so noble as it is to say, listen, let's extend it, let's give it another 3 years, that will be meaningless without the SOP advanced by Materia Ture requiring and specifying a proportion of affordably priced houses in those areas. That is vital. That is vital, because that's been the missing element in the special housing area program so far. There have been some great projects in which affordable houses have been delivered, and some of them have been in special housing areas and others haven't. But the truth is this, the reality is this, Mr Chairman, the need for affordable housing of a huge volume is now urgent. We now need urgent action to get affordable houses built. Special housing areas working properly and a policy working properly could be a solution. But it will only be a solution if they deliver affordable houses. And it will not be a solution if we just extend the period during which special housing areas can be created and housing accords can continue to be activated without a statutory mandate for a proportion of those houses to be affordable. That is what is needed. That's the Labor Party policy proposal. That's the Labor Party comprehensive housing package, is to have a housing program dedicated to affordable housing. That's the desperate shortage in New Zealand at the moment. Young couples who, no matter how hard they work or save, cannot afford to buy their first home. And how could they, when the proportion of their income, or the multiple of their income required to buy a house, at least in Auckland, is now pushing 10 times that income. It is out of reach. And if we are to stave off a bunch of other social issues or social problems further down the track, then the need to get affordable houses built in New Zealand today is utterly urgent. And the bill, as it stands at the moment in this part, in Part 1, doesn't go far enough. We need a specific mandate, as provided in the SOP, for a proportion of affordable houses.
Mr Chair.